Excuse me. Just had some pizza. Welcome to the Peach State Power Hour presented by UGAsports.com and M. Jones Heating and Cooling. I'm your host, Paul Maharry, joined alongside me, as always, Andy Stowe, and the man, the myth, the legend, Eddie from Acworth. We appreciate you guys. If you're first time watching, let us know where you're watching from. If you're 50th time watching, we also want to know you're here. Put it in the comments section. We already see Marsh Mutts here. Scott Anderson, Mountain Man, Scott Anderson, Chet Summers, Phyllis from South, Lumpkin.
Wow.
Good evening, gents, and Edward. Well, I like the way that Phyllis talks. All right, guys. We had probably one of the crazier games I've ever watched, and it just so happened to involve these Georgia Bulldogs that we talk about each and every week. We'll touch on that. We've got the GHSA scoreboard. I don't like how you did that in the notes, Andy. I'm going to be honest. You tried to trip me up there. High score scoreboard. I think you meant to say high school.
High school. Sorry, dude. Sorry,
okay.
man.
All right. It's fine. As the guy that's reading it, I should have read it before.
Yeah.
And then we talk about the Falcons as well. But before we get into any of that tonight, Andy, your weekend, was it joyous?
Georgia won the football game. I'm good to go. Yep. That's what I base my weekends off of. So,
Edward.
It was great, and I wore this old school basketball jersey just for our buddy Garrett Key, who wets himself when we talk about Georgia basketball. So that's for you, Garrett Key. He's probably watching Yellowstone right now, so he's not even.
Oh, I think Garrett's here.
It's later. It doesn't come
here.
up
Okay,
8 o'clock.
Okay, good.
He's here with us for
I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Had my family over. I did a fried turkey and a turducken. I smoked a turducken, and it was unbelievable.
Did you make the turducken yourself, or you?
Oh, no. I go to Cajun Meat Company. I don't know how to make a turducken. I don't even. It's chicken with a.
So real quick before we start talking about real things, turducken. It's a turkey
stuffed with chicken, stuffed with duck. So, I mean, it's too confusing for me. I just threw it on the smoker and let it smoke for 4 hours.
So when you're cutting into it, it's like 3 different pieces of meat?
It's exactly right, yes.
Yep.
And that flavor goes through all the turkey, so you might get a slice of turkey, but you could taste all that stuff. It's amazing. I would highly recommend it. Awesome stuff. And the fried turkey was awesome, too.
You fried a turkey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a
of course. I mean, who doesn't? So.
Come on.
Wow, I didn't know you had it in you like that.
Yeah, Betty loves that kind of stuff. That's my house, so Betty loves that.
John Madden special, Garrett, he says, "Heck yeah!" Well, we had a Larry Munson special on Friday night, boys, and I know we talked about this game being on a Friday night, and man, I am extremely glad that it was.
Yes,
because not only because everybody got to watch Georgia, right, Friday night. But on Saturday, we didn't have to worry about watching Georgia play, and we got to watch all these rivalry games. And that's normally not the case, right? Normally we're working on Saturdays, or we're covering the dogs. Didn't have to. It was very relaxing, and it was even more relaxing because Georgia won 44-42 in 8 overtimes. Eddie, you were at the game, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. We were at the game. It was insane.
Did you tell Miss Kelly to pack you more blood pressure medicine, or were you completely?
I brought extra, so I was good. I had loaded up pregame, so
because I almost called you to send me one like 4th overtime. Wife was asleep, kids were asleep. I'm the only one awake, and I'm like, dude, I actually
reached a point because when we went down by 2 touchdowns with 5 minutes left, I kind of had resolved myself. This is a loss. I just kind of was relaxed during that. And every time it seemed like Georgia made a play, Tech made a play too. And I was just like, it just kept going. We're going to lose the game. We're going to lose the game. And to come out of that, I just rewatched it like 20 minutes ago. I rewatched the entire thing from that 5-minute when Haynes King plunged in to the end of the game. I still don't know how we won the football game. My hands still got sweaty, guys. I was like, are we going to win this game? That was the most ridiculous. You know what that was? I'll sum it up. This is kind of I don't know if it's a good comparison or not. Y'all make the judgment. This was our 4th and 31 from last year. Bama, 4th and 31, saved their season, and then go to the playoffs. This, I think, was our 4th and 31, encapsulated in a crazy game.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good comparison. I like that.
Yeah, Nick Mill says, #see my post. I see it, Nick. He says, the Dogs came alive Friday night. If you're a true Georgia fan, this is how good old-fashioned hate always went and made me feel like a little kid again. We got Jeremy Neighbors in the building. We appreciate him always jumping on with us.
I see we got a couple of people from Texas in here, Paul. That's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. There are. That game, we see Blessed Cod intervention said, I never lost faith. I think you're in the minority there, intervention. And here's why, guys. I mean, this game for what, 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters?
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrible football. Like really bad football.
For us, it was great football for Tech.
Georgia wasn't tackling. I mean, it started on the first play, Andy.
It did, yeah.
You can't see him. There's a photo out there, and I don't know who took it. Shout out to them that they did. There's a photo. You cannot see Justice Hayes in that pile on that first play, and somehow he gets out and goes for 44 yards. And not just Hayes, Jamal Hayes.
Yeah.
But you don't see him, and you're thinking, all right, well, this is just the slow start that we're used to from these dogs, right? And something will change. Look, I get the slow starts. Georgia hasn't gone to halftime since 2018 or 2019 against Kentucky.
Yeah, losing a game.
Not having any points.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what, Paul, I asked you guys the other night, and I want to see what Eddie thinks. When you saw that first play, we had him bottled up. And it almost looked like the defenders just sort of like, okay, they're going to call it dead and sort of stop. And see, I think these penalties about, hitting after the bell and all this, I think they're starting to wear on these guys. So they're like, okay, how much can I touch these guys? And so they just sort of quit. And then the guy's still going because the play was never blown dead. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just think that has something to do with it. Now, the wrapping up and not wrapping up, that's a whole nother thing. But do you think that's something to do with it?
I don't.
I'll take that one step further. Yes, I think you're right. But what they were doing in that play was they were trying to strip the ball. And that's become the new thing, rather than tackling. They're trying to rip that football out, right? And they didn't do that. And he just bounced around the end and ran for 44 yards. So I think it's a great point you make, and it's a combination of the two things, right? It really is.
So is that something that we're teaching now, to rip it out and not worry about wrapping 100%. Up? And why is that? If that's the case, look how bad our tackling has been all year. Why are we sort of doing this completely different thing?
I guess
because Andy, you and I talked about this on whatever that was, Friday or Saturday night. We talked about this. They are not practicing tackling during the week as much as they used to, right? Because of the fear of injuries. Bloody Tuesday is not Bloody Tuesday like it used to be. And I think to compensate for that, they're teaching them how to rip the ball out. Exactly.
You guys talk separately without me?
Yes, we did, and it was glorious. Yeah, I loved every second of it.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how to go on from this for the rest of the show anymore.
Good show, guys. Talk to you guys later. So.
No, we had Foster asked a question. He said, did those overtime 2-point plays count as touchdowns in the season? They did not. No, that now the overtime touchdowns.
Yes, they did.
They counted on the first 2 overtimes.
First 2.
How do we feel about? Thank you, Mountain Man. I appreciate that. Mountain Man would never leave me out of a conversation. How do we feel about that overtime rule? Roddy was pretty adamant he hated it. I'm not a huge fan of it. Kirby made a good point, saying it limits the amount of plays, right? That's happening. And to a degree it is, right? Because 8 overtimes, you only have, so starting at the third, you have 5 plays that each team ran, right, in that scenario. If you're in that third overtime, let's say, you're trying to get from the 25-yard line, you very well could run 5 or more in that one overtime. So I see where that comes from. And it also keeps you on the edge of your seat, right? Mm-hmm. But something was weird in that. It was like this game. It was won off of a 2-point run by Frazier that had either one of these teams really thought about it. Like Haynes King and Buster Faulkner called an incredible game.
Yes,
once it got to the 2-point conversions, though, he took that run pass option away from King, and they were going to like a strictly pass, and it was like this.
What are you doing?
It completely throws everything out the window, and it almost makes it a game of chance to finish the game. And I don't know if I completely like that. That's where I'm at with it. It makes it really a game of chance. You have one guy miss one thing, go wrong, and you lose.
Well, the NFL overtime rule is each team gets the ball, and then whoever scores after that is the winner. Why
unless
not
it's a field goal?
Unless it's a field goal. Yeah, but yeah, I'm saying after somebody at least gets the ball once. But why don't we do something? I like that rule. So if you kick it off and you don't score, and then if they come down and score, it's over. Why don't they just do that? I like that rule better. Do y'all like the NFL rule better? Or
I think the problem is with the college rule is that you had to have Reese Davis explain it to us like we're all 5 years old on TV because it's so complicated, right? And the average college football fan is like, and I had a buddy at the game. And he said the crowd went crazy after Georgia scored their second touchdown because they thought they won it, but then they had to go for the 2-point conversion.
That's why I have a piece in my ear listening to Eric Sire and the announcers listening.
But
I have that.
You have people at the game that think the game was won.
Right.
So
100%.
These are people that pay good money to go to these games. They know football, and they're like, hell yeah, we won the game. No, man, you got to go for 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what? Oh, okay.
Well, I'm with you. I think the overtime needs to be tweaked a little bit, but I'll say this. If you start that, let's just say you start these at the 50, right, and make a team go half the field to score a touchdown. You know who that benefits in that game? Georgia Tech. Because our defense in the red zone is really, really good. And we were able to clamp down several times against Tech. If they had been driving 50 yards, I think Georgia would have been in real trouble in that football game. So I think that played in our favor. Now, I don't like the flipping of the field every time. These guys are exhausted. They played 7 overtimes, 8, and they're having to go back, run down to the other side of the field. Who cares? Just stay on that side of the field and play the game. I don't like the 2-point conversions when you get to that point, because that's almost like, I know you guys don't care about soccer, but that's almost like the penalty kicks in soccer. That's just a total it's just a crapshoot at that point. And I don't like that, because that's not, it's all you're converting is 3 yards. And I don't
that's what I'm saying. It turns into a complete crapshoot and it takes away from the game.
I don't like that. No.
Because yes, Georgia came back, right? No question about that. But and I know neither one of you can, because you're diehard Georgia fans, but you can feel for Tech fans. Like, now the game is, I know you can't, Andy, but now the game is relying on this chance of, a 2-point conversion, stop at the 3. And then for Georgia, right, it didn't look like Smile Monday. I don't know. It didn't look like passing.
He did not interfere with him.
I don't think
it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
But here's the thing. They got a whole nother shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. And that's when I really thought that was over when that happened.
Me too. When that happened, I said, that's ball game.
Yeah.
The 1.5 yard line, they're going to plunge in, right?
Yeah. Nick Mills has the opposite point, though. He says the 2-point is an easy way out, makes the game 50-50 no matter what. Yeah. I mean,
that's a good point. And I see a lot of people talking about the 2-point conversion that we tried at the beginning of the game too. So that is a good question. The analytics,
right?
Yeah, the analytics said do it, but I'm not a fan of that.
I'm curious with that 2-point conversion, right? Because if you listen to Kirby Smart's press conference, which you should always do, it's on our channel here on UGAsports.com. That is if you listen to 3 things during the week, it's this show, the POS, and Kirby Smart's press conferences.
That's
because
right.
he tells you got to listen. Yeah. It's like when you go to church, the preacher's preaching to you, but if you're not listening,
you're not going to hear it.
You're not going to hear it.
Yeah.
Kirby says it. And there was interesting because they asked him about it, and he kind of shook his head and was like, yeah, the sheet called for that. We're not going to get into that, but we stick to analytics a lot of the time. It almost felt to me like he was like, I want to just kick this extra point, but I'm almost being, and it's not that he's never made to do anything. He's the head coach at Georgia. He can do whatever he wants. But it's almost like he's being told, hey, we got to go get these 2 points here. What sucks about it for Georgia, though, is sure, you go get that singular extra point there. You win the game before it goes
win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Also, on the opposite side of that, it also could potentially, the team wouldn't go as hard. I don't know. Like, does that make sense? Like, yes, you want to win the game, but you only have to get this amount of points as opposed to this now. And it muddies the waters. We saw it with Texas and Texas A&M. Texas A&M should have gone for the points early. They tried to go for a 4th down.
Yeah.
And then we saw Texas A&M intercept that pass, take it back. It was 17-6 in the 3rd quarter, almost the exact same time that Georgia ran the 2-point conversion. And there wasn't any talk, guys, about Texas A&M trying to go for 2 in that situation. So that's how I know most folks are like, I just don't know if that's the right move.
And Kirby doesn't typically chase points. You don't like Kirby is more about, okay, we drove down here. Yes, it may be 4th and 3 and we're on the 7-yard line, but let's go ahead and get the points. He typically tries to get points. That was just a weird call all around for Kirby. That doesn't seem like a typical Kirby move, but hey, I guess if the analytics or whatever, I know Lane Kiffin loves analytics and maybe that's the thing that these guys are going for now, but that was just a weird time to go for the 2. It just didn't seem like it bought us anything to me, but
right.
I think it put us behind the 8 ball.
Dog 85 is asking this too. He says, is it true those 2-point overtime pass completers count as touchdowns on stats?
No.
Only the first 2 overtimes because they're legitimate 25-yard drives. They do count, but the other ones do not. I don't know if somebody's like spreading that around or whatever, but that's not the case. I'm just not a fan of going for 2 there. Get your points.
No.
Keep and here's the thing. I had this argument with some good buddies of mine. There's the analytics side of it, but then I see the momentum side of it.
Exactly.
I like Big Mo.
Mm-hmm.
She's a sweet girl. Oh, Big Mo. And what happened when you went for 2 and didn't get that extra point? You lost Big Mo.
You lost it. You lost everything.
Well, at that point in the game, there was 9:57 left in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
It was 17-6. It wasn't 18-6. That I can understand. It was an even score, right? 17-7 is exactly where you want to be. And when he trotted out that 2-point conversion, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Now he converts it. It's brilliant. He looks brilliant, right? Yeah. But we didn't. And the chances of that are basically 50-50. I hated that call. And I also hated his explanation, Paul, in the post game, because he kind of shoved it aside like, oh, that's analytical. I'm not going to talk about that. But that's what the sheet said. Bull crap. You're Kirby smart. You control and know everything that's going on. And I'll throw one more thing in here. Kevin Butler this morning, y'all know Kevin Butler, the famous kicker from Georgia and Chicago.
You're a good buddy.
Said, whoever is the analytical guy that said Kirby go for 2 here, that guy needs to be canned and out of the building. Now, he's obviously biased because he's a kicker, but that's exactly what he said. He said that was the dumbest play of the night, was to go for that 2 right there.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense. They tried to make sense of it on the TV, saying the whole analytics route of it. But like you said, Eddie, it's too early. It's too early. But I guess this is what Kirby had to be thinking. I'm assuming, right? Is Georgia Tech scores another touchdown, then it's 24-8.
That's what he was thinking.
But even then, Andy, you still have to go for 2.
You have to go for 2 every time. Yeah, I think he was thinking 3/8 equals 24. That's the only thing I can figure out. But if you miss that 1-2, then you're still you got to go for 2 again. Yeah, and that's what it doesn't. It just doesn't seem like it bought you anything. But yeah, I do believe the analytics said 3/8 equals 24. But I don't know. It just to me it wasn't a smart call. But hey, we still won the game. And you know what? I started thinking about this. We're sitting here complaining about getting a win in 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. What would Clemson say about an 8 overtime win right now? What would Ohio State say about an 8 overtime win right now?
Miami.
What would Miami say about it? So that's the thing. I'm all upset about it. And you know what? We still got the win. I know it's not as pretty as we had hoped, but hey, we did get the win and we still living to see another day.
Speaking of seeing another day, a lot of teams this weekend went down. Rivalry weekend was wild, and also the fighting.
Wow, what was up with in the flag planting? What is it? Did they have like a group text where they say everyone plant your flag? What is this?
I think that's been banned now going forward, right? I mean, that's over.
Yeah, I don't know what comes of that, right? But there's got to be something, because you had Michigan players getting pepper sprayed. Like it was wild. I do not get the whole flag planting thing. And it used to be, right, like they plant the flag and then nobody from the other team would come out. They pick up the flag and then it's like, all right, yeah, you got, congratulations. Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. Had Georgia Tech won
they were doing game,
they were going to rip those hedges apart, guys.
The hedges were coming apart. I remember when Will Muschamp had the hedges in his mouth. Like, I mean, they were going to do something, and thank God we don't have to worry about seeing that, because it would have been bad.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of planting the flag, man, because I get it, you won, right? But at the same time, you're literally just asking for this other team that just got beat in their home stadium
to come to see you next year.
Yeah, and you're asking them, they're full of emotion, especially Ohio State. They've lost 4 in a row. You're asking for a fight. You're literally asking.
They had 60 minutes to have a fight, and they didn't choose to do it then. That's my retort to that.
Yeah, but that's a game though. They're in the middle of a game, so
Snooky Dre says y'all don't enjoy the hate. Everybody complains sports too friendly. Which one is it? No, I love the hate. I mean, I watched every second of every one of those fights.
Mm-hmm,
don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched the clips again today. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it numerous times. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But what I'm saying is, it's going to be it's going to be something that somebody has to look at. Somebody's
going to get hurt.
Yeah. And not to be that old man that yells at clouds, because Eddie does a great job of that. The field goal, the rush in the field thing. Yeah. It's obvious that the students don't care about the money. It's not their money. You've got to do something else, because somebody's going to get legitimately trampled on. It might not be a football player, but it could be a sorority girl or something like that. And then, then it really becomes real. So that's me on my high horse. I'll get off of it. Speaking of being on the high horse, though, these guys are definitely on the high horse because they're badass. And that's M. Jones Heating and Cooling, mjoneshvac.com, guys. Andy, you had to turn on the heat. I know you did.
I had to turn it on. My house got down to 59 degrees, and I said, okay, it's time. I couldn't wait. So it is on. I have it set to like 63 or 64, so we're good to go. So,
hey, yeah, don't run that bill up too much, bud.
Yeah,
really. If you haven't turned yours on yet, which, I hope you have if you're in the state of Georgia. If it didn't turn on just right, or if it's, mine's kind of acting funny, Eddie. I'm actually going to give these guys a call tomorrow. Half the house isn't really doing what it should be doing right now. So right here on mjoneshvac.com, you can hit this little contact button, okay? What it does is it brings you down here. You can give them a call. You can email the 2 owners, or you can put in a first, last name, email address, phone number, and message. When you put that message in, guys, make sure to mention ujsports.com. Get you 5% off your repairs and 10% off. Man, that pizza's getting to me, Eddie. 10% off your new installs, guys. These guys are huge Georgia fans in the state of Georgia. They will take good care of you. And they are also the sponsors of our M. Jones Player of the Game and Play of the Game. Player of the Game, M. Jones Style. Eddie from Acworth, you're up.
Carson Beck.
Yeah.
Carson Beck, 28 of 43, 297, 5 TDs. I know 2 of those were in the overtime. They still count, right?
Still count.
They were touchdowns. Guys, the thing I love about this is that Carson Beck has 11 TDs and 0 picks in the last 3 games. And we were all crapping all over him 3 games ago. Well, I certainly was. I know you guys were too. I'm not saying to bench him, but he was really struggling. He's completely turned it around, and he's my player of the game. He played in that. Go watch him in those 2 drives to get us those 14 points to tie the game. Massive. He played like money. He was awesome. That throw he made to Dom Lovett.
It's great.
That was the tying. Was that the tying?
That was the tying one. Yeah, that was down the left-hand corner.
And they showed the 4 guys there, and he just drilled it right into a spot that only Dom could catch it. The guy's money when he has time. He's
Eddie. Do you know who has the most touchdown passes in the Southeastern Conference?
I don't know who has the most.
He's literally teeing this up for you, Eddie.
That would be Carson Beck. 28. He has 28 on the year now.
He's first in the SEC now, right? That's
right.
So
that's a great pick. Paul, my M. Jones player of the game is Smile Munden. He had 13 total tackles. He had 5 solo. He had a sack, and he had a tackle for a loss, which is the sack.
And that was not interference on
it was not. It was not. That's Georgia Tech. They can cry all day. The officials, blah blah blah. But no, Smile Munden was everywhere. Or I was going to say last night, everywhere Friday.
What a difference it makes when he's healthy.
When he's healthy, that's the thing.
Holy cow!
Is he our best defensive player?
I was getting ready to say that, Andy. It's funny you said that. He may be. He may be that quiet leader.
He's good.
A beast.
Yeah, he's definitely my M. Jones player of the game this week.
Funny you went middle linebacker, because I'm going middle linebacker too. CJ Allen, and I got to give him his flowers, man. I've not called for him to be benched, just like we've done with Carson Beck, but he has been a topic of conversation here on the show, and he did a great job. There's one play in particular, and it's not my play of the game because it's not play of the game worthy, but Georgia Tech took the running back out wide.
Yeah, on that wheel route up the field.
Well, no, he was all the way out.
Yeah.
CJ had to come with him. And then Haynes King saw that and said, "Oh boy, I'm about to eat."
Got a linebacker here. Yeah.
Threw it up to him, and CJ was able to stay in coverage there. And CJ has not done a great job in coverage in those situations. And he really saved the day right there. Also, you know, he was knocking balls down. I mean, he was everywhere. He played a really lights out game. And I want to say he played every snap too, if I'm not mistaken. There was a couple guys that did. I know Starks did. I'd have to go back and look at it, but there's 2 or 3 of them. I think CJ was one of them that played almost every snap. So shout out to him. As far as the play of the game goes.
Before you go to that, we got to explain to the listeners and the watchers. I mean, the obvious player of the game is Dan Jackson.
Yeah,
right.
We try not to use
glossed over that, and we'll get to that in the play of the game. But he's probably the player of the game. We tried to go a little bit deeper than that, but my goodness, you can't ignore this game without Dan Jackson.
Yeah, so we went a little bit deeper than Coach says. Warren Brinson, CJ Allen, Dan Jackson. Yeah. We try to go just a little bit deeper and leave, I guess you could say, a consensus. We should probably just start doing that, guys. Just a consensus player of the game.
Yeah.
Because we try to go a little deeper, and sometimes folks get mad because they're like, "Hey, you forgot." No, we didn't forget. We just maybe forgot to mention it.
Right.
Thank you, Eddie, for bringing that up. But Dan Jackson, for sure, the consensus M. Jones player of the game.
And he comes into the play of the game here we're talking about, right?
Yeah, the play of the game, I'll take that one. Low-hanging fruit, that sack. Just smart, for one, right? Because you leave Haynes. That's kind of the problem with Georgia. You leave Haynes King back there. Because
wait. Can I stop you, Paul? You're talking about Dan Jackson as a play of the game. You're talking about the sack in the overtimes. You're not talking about the fumble recovery. We're just kind of glossing over that because that was the play of the game, right?
Yeah, I like the sack in the overtime, but yeah, we'll take either one, right?
Okay.
The reason I say it was such a big play in overtime and why I'm going with it as opposed to the one that happened in the game was because Georgia you could feel it. You could feel it. Had Georgia dropped back, they weren't getting any type of pressure up front.
No,
right. Right.
And they finally dial up a safety blitz. And there was a couple of times where they dialed up that safety blitz and he couldn't get there fast enough, and it really hurt Georgia. He got there fast enough and flipped it to where they couldn't score right there. That's my play of the game. Now I get it. He has also the other the fumble. Which if we're doing a consensus player of the game, that's probably the consensus play of the game. I went a little bit deeper though with that sack in overtime. So that's, and I think that shorter field kind of helped with that as well. So he couldn't because we were, like you were saying, he couldn't get there as quick. There were 2 or 3 times during the game where they rushed him like that, very similar, and he just couldn't get there because it was too quick.
What's awesome about that play is I rewatched it, like I said a little while ago, and he timed that perfectly, Paul. He took off right when the ball was snapped, and he was already in the backfield. I mean, Dan Jackson cannot get enough credit for being a walk-on player where he is now. I mean, he's unbelievable. He in my opinion, deserves a statue. That's how good that guy is now.
You know what's crazy is there was a picture floating around, and it just feels like you don't think he's been there that long. There's a picture of him and Stetson with the national champ. I mean, he was a player.
Well, think about the play, the Keely Ringo play. Who blew up and had caused the massive block for Keely to go in. Now he got blown up. It was him.
Dude was a player on your first national championship team, your second national championship team, and now he's got a chance to do it a third time before he leaves out. And as a walk-on is I don't think people really understand that, like how crazy that is. He showed up, wanted to play football for Georgia, and beat out numerous 4 and 5 stars.
Yeah.
And has been doing it on a consistent basis. And it's not because he's it's not because there's not good players back there. There's tons of good. Kirby recruits safeties.
Yeah.
He every year they probably, you know what they do? This is probably the same thing they do with Stetson. Like, oh, we had Stetson. Let's see what these other guys can do.
And then Dan Jackson
start throwing the ball around.
You got to go back to this guy.
They look at Stetson over on the sideline, smoking a black and mild. Like, all right, you guys ready for me yet?
Well, and you look at Jermaine King.
Probably the same thing Dan Jackson does, dude. He's probably just standing like, all right, guys, we got this new crop of freshmen, and let's see what they can do.
Jermaine King mentioned Cash Jones. Same thing.
Yeah.
Dan standing on the sidelines, like, all right.
Yep. Yeah, those are. Yeah, he's
like, you guys need me now. Okay, yeah, I'm here. Yep. All right, let's do it.
He even changed his number from 47 to 17 to look more like a DB. So he's
Shout out to him. Shout out to Cash Jones. I mean, all those guys. Oh, Jermaine says Stetson, Dirty Dan, and Cash Jones. Has any team had a greater collection of walk-ons in the modern college football era?
I
don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
Man, you'd be hard pressed to tell me another team that's had 3 walk-ons that even played.
And that's a great call with Cash Jones. I mean, we forget about the things that he does, but he picked up a 3rd down in one of those 2-point. No, it was in the overtime. I don't remember. They all blend together, right? But he picked up a massive 3rd down. I mean, Cash Jones was, forgive the pun, he was money.
And then also Foster Moss says, "Did y'all see the video of Cash slapping Dom on the top of the helmet?"
Boom.
Yeah, he gets that for the rest of his life too.
That's so cool.
If I was Cash Jones, 1,000%, I'm getting a still image of right when I slap him on the head and the firework go off. I'm getting that in my office.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Who you got, Andy?
My play of the game. I took the midway through the 3rd quarter. UGA was down 27-13, and so Georgia Tech had just scored. They had all the momentum, and that's when I was like, "Oh crap!" And Beck hit Roderick Robinson for that 21-yard reception, and then Georgia scored 5 plays later. I just felt like that big play with Robinson gave us a little momentum, and we went and scored, and we just seemed to take over from there. So,
was that a 3rd down play, Andy, or was it a 2nd down play? You don't look it up.
No, I think it was a 1st or 2nd down. I don't think it was a 3rd down.
Well,
but it was a 21.
Like I said, I just rewatched it, and he floated that ball right over perfectly to run. And that's a great call because that was a massive play.
Huge.
Down the field. Absolutely love that. And how nice was to see Zero back on the field. It was just so nice to see.
Now, I don't know if I would have liked to see him so many times in overtime.
No, not me. I wanted
instead of Frazier or Cash Jones. But it was great to see him back out there, and you hope he can get going because Frazier
need that power back. Yeah,
Frazier and Cash Jones can get you through a lot of it, but you need that Roderick Robinson, Branson Robinson, somebody like that, and good to see Zero back. I thought Zero was my pick for way early. I think even summer before he got hurt. My pick for this guy here.
Dude, when I went to that practice, he looked good, and then he got hurt or whatever. So that's what sucks. But he looked like he was about to explode.
What's nice about this is he got his feet wet a little bit. Now he's ready. This was kind of the feeling out game.
Yeah, knock the rust off a little bit.
Yeah, he's ready to go now. I think for Texas, right?
Because he did look a little tentative on trying to burst the hole. Yeah, so maybe he's just like not trusting the leg or whatever. But maybe he's good now.
Yeah.
Yep. Who you got, Eddie, for your M. Jones play of the game?
I had the 2-point conversion, but I'm going to change it because I just rewatched the game. I'm going to go with C.J. Allen, absolutely smashing Haynes King on that. If y'all remember, that was the play where Smile Munden got the interference call and brought them to within 1.5 yards.
Yep, the next play.
And I thought, here, the game's over. They're going to win right here. And C.J. Allen read Haynes King and absolutely mauled him right there and drove him backwards and stuffed him. So I'm going with that play right there. That was a massive play in that game.
What's the play we remember most from this game? Because we're doing best play of the game, the most memorable play of the game. What is it?
Mine's Dan Jackson causing the fumble.
Yeah, that's mine too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? I mean that because even if you don't cause that fumble, Tech's going to continue. They've done it all night. They've just marched down the field. He converted right before that. If you remember that, it was a scroll. It was a rollout, and he just completed that pass right there. Every time Haynes King had pressure in his face or whatever, he converted or made a great play or ran the ball or whatever. We could not stop that guy. And I'm going to say it right now. I would kill to have Haynes King on our football team. This is not a knock against Carson Beck or anybody on the team. That guy is a freaking warrior. I mean, you had Jamal Haynes tapping out. Y'all remember that? Because he was tired, hurt. Haynes King did none of that. He played that game to the very end. That guy is a beast. I love the way that guy plays football.
Yeah, he left it all out there for his team.
He did.
He left it all out there for his team. That's for sure.
And I don't want to have to face him next year. Please go away. Please go to the pros.
I think he'll probably be back around.
He'll be back next year.
Depends. I guess it depends on if he stays with Georgia Tech or Buster gets a job. He'll be somewhere.
Yeah,
he'll be in college football for a long time next year. New AP Top 25 comes out, guys. Not that I guess it. This is the weird the weird part to me. We have the AP come out on Sunday. I love it, right? It kind of gives you an idea of what the AP is thinking. Not that the AP is tied in any form to the playoff committee, because that completely changes the numbers. So then you have the playoff committee rank the teams. So then you have a second number that is associated with your team, which that second number for today until Tuesday, the AP number matters,
right?
Okay, because that's where it puts you.
Right.
Then on Tuesday night at around 8-10, they get re-ranked, and they give you a number, and that number sticks with you. But the number that doesn't stick with you is the number that actually really matters. It's where you're seated in the playoff committee.
Right.
So it completely throws everything into just a jumbled mess, right? But Georgia has moved up to 5th in the AP poll. They are the highest seeded 2-loss team. Is that correct, Andy?
That's correct. Yeah.
Ohio State drops to, what was it, 7?
Ohio State is now 7th in the AP poll. Yeah.
Crazy. They didn't drop that far. Georgia dropped a little further than that when they lost. I don't know.
We lost to Ole Miss.
A ranked team on the road. Was Michigan ranked?
No, they weren't. And where was that game at? Oh, that was
in the booth.
Was it that game was in Ohio, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, how about that? So what do you make of that? That's kind of weird how all that seems to happen. Love some Ohio State.
Big Ten bias, maybe. I don't
know. When this playoff comes out on Tuesday, where do you see Georgia?
I think we'll be about the same spot.
I think so too.
Yeah, because you're not going to jump Oregon, you're not going to jump Texas, because Texas is 11-1. Penn State, I don't know.
We all know the deal with that, but it's again 11-1.
And when you say same spot, because are you saying 5th?
5th, yeah, I think they'll be 5th.
Okay, because I was going to say last week they were 8th.
I think they'll be the same as the
AP.
Yeah, I think they'll be 5th. I don't see, they're not going to jump Notre Dame or Penn State, and then obviously you got Tennessee and Ohio State just lost, so Tennessee you can't jump them because we beat Tennessee, and then you're not going to push the other guy. So yeah, I think Georgia will be 5th in the playoff.
Yeah. So with that being said, this rematch against Texas is pretty big because you're going to get that bye, right? And you're going to get – now, I said this and thought this was kind of funny. I reject this statement now that this has all happened. I was saying maybe the SEC doesn't get one of the top 4 seeds. They definitely will. So I take back that stupidness that I said on the POS. Anyways, UGA will rematch Texas for the SEC title. Remember, Georgia beat them 30-15 on October 19th in Austin. Biggest concerns, and this is my biggest concern, is can you beat the same team twice in 1 year? Now, we all watched because, thankfully, Georgia and Georgia Tech played on Friday night. We all got to watch this game.
We did.
Every Georgia fan's eye was on this game. You were watching your 2 opponents that you had that you're going to have a chance to play. What do you feel after watching Texas A&M? Eddie, where are you at?
I wasn't impressed with that second half. Now, and you know what? Let's take a look at it. I don't know how closely y'all watched the game. There were 2 calls in that game that gave Texas touchdowns. The Arch Manning play and then that crazy catch in the back of the end zone, that one-handed catch. Those calls are reversed, are, in my opinion, called correctly because I didn't think they were touchdowns. Texas doesn't have 14 points.
Well, I didn't think Arch was a touchdown.
No, Arch got in. Arch was a touchdown.
I don't know. Okay, I'll give you that one. The other one, I don't think was a touchdown. Okay, that's 10 points. Whatever. Texas was completely shut down in the second half by A&M.
They didn't score a point.
They did nothing. Okay, now does that even really matter for next week after what I've watched with the Georgia Bulldogs?
I was going to say
absolutely nothing. Okay. But I mean, it's not like we're facing Ohio State a few years ago to CJ Stroud. I'll put it that way. Okay. That's not some juggernaut coming in here. I understand what you're saying, Paul. It's tough to beat a team twice. Texas has got the revenge factor, all that stuff. We're playing in the Mercedes-Benz Super, or whatever it's called, Mercedes-Benz Dome. Okay. Georgia's comfortable here. Kirby wants this more than anything in the world. I'm comfortable with where we're at, and it's fine. And I love the position we're in, right? Because now I'm hearing some things, y'all can blast me if you want, that there's a chance Georgia plays this game close and loses. We could still get a home game out of this. with the craziness we've seen.
So I haven't been on board with that, right? After the way that this weekend shook out the past, I think they have to, because here's the thing. You cannot, and this is what's going to drive Georgia fans up a wall. If they lose this game and somehow Tennessee hosts a home game and Georgia has to go on the road, then you truly look at it and go, yep, we're not playing in that game next year. Yeah. There's no benefit for us.
But we all agree, right, with the loss they're in, right? That's kind of a given.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't on board, but I think I am now. After all the craziness that happened, I think I'm on board with that.
And Joe Tessitore only said it 500 times Friday night.
Yeah, I don't know how much what he was getting paid from Georgia to say that, but he said it. I mean,
he kept saying that. Georgia just lost themselves in the playoff.
Look, I can tell you from I've only done one ESPN game as a announcer. If I had to go to 8 overtimes, brother, you'd hear me say the same thing numerous times because you run out of stuff to say, man.
Sure.
And Joe Tessitore, he's trying to, and I love Joe. He does a great job.
He's good. He's good.
One of the top ones. He's trying to create a moment on every one of those 2-point conversions.
Sure.
So he's having to inflect. This play here is, Georgia's fate getting into the playoffs.
If they score, they're going to the playoffs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You have to do that because you never know which call is going to be the one. He just didn't realize, damn, I'm going to have to do this 16 times, and he just ran. He ran up with it. Jermaine says, I'm telling my team, don't leave it up to the committee. We don't trust them.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
But here's the thing. Both teams are going to be saying that, right?
Right.
I think both will be saying that. But I agree. For Texas, maybe a little less because they would only have 2 losses. Yeah. The problem is you can't the problem the committee has put themselves in is they really, 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 I think, want Georgia to win this football game. And here's why. I'll tell you why. Because if Georgia doesn't and they're a 3-loss team, they already have Tennessee too high. They have Tennessee too high to where they're going to have to give Tennessee a home game. And then you're going to just rightfully, you're going to have to drop Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you truly say these championship games do matter. And if that's the case, then whatever the playoff seeding that Georgia gets Tuesday night is going to be the same seeding that they receive after championship weekend.
Right.
Right.
Well, and the thing is, you look at it, let's say Georgia loses, they get their 3rd loss. What happens then they got South Carolina right now is 11th in the prediction, and they got Alabama is 12th. And Ole Miss, they're 13. So we lost to Alabama and Ole Miss. So if we have 3 losses, what do they do there? It's going to be tricky. I think we need to win the game for the home advantage.
Problem with that, then you're literally telling these teams if they drop out and multiple SEC teams get in, which you just inferred, probably at least 2, right? Yeah. Then you're telling these schools don't play in this game. Like there's no point to playing this game if you're going to be getting dropped out.
But can you say no? I'm not going.
No. You can't. But what did I tell you guys before the season started? What was going to happen with these games? They're going away. They're going away. These championship games. Because they're a penalty to the loser. They are a penalty, and it shouldn't be that way. It's not fair. Why do we get punished for playing a game? Tennessee gets at home and smokes cigars and enjoy their in the playoffs, and we're busting our ass in a game that really is kind of meaningless. I mean, I understand the implications. I get first round, you get a bye, I get all that. And by the way, Georgia needs to win this game, if anything, to get some damn rest. They are beat up. That's why they need to win this football game.
And if you look at it from the other side, sure, you if you have that home game, right? So here's the difference. Here's the difference here. Your neutral site for that game instead of getting a home game for that game. And that home game is 3 weekends from now? Mm-hmm. December 20th, right?
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
So you get more rest and you get a home game, or you go to the SEC where it's a neutral site and you have to play the week after your season where you just played the toughest schedule Georgia's probably ever played in their life.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I think if I'm Tennessee, I'm looking at it like, dude,
perfect position.
Dude, I'm loving this. Mm-hmm. I get to rest my guys and then I get to have a home game and I don't have to worry about banging my guys up in the SEC championship game.
Yep.
So there's a lot to gripe there. And here's the thing. If Georgia loses that game, there's going to be a whole heck of a lot.
It is.
On the flip side of that, How does Georgia win this game, guys?
I think we're just going to have to control the line of scrimmage. I think it's always going to be that line of scrimmage. Keep Carson back upright, and I think we'll be fine. I want to get some run game. We've got to be able to run the ball better because we didn't run the ball very good at all versus Georgia Tech. What was the 80 yards or something? Is that right? It was rushing yards, 108 yards total.
It wasn't good, yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. We've got to, and one of that was just that end around from Arian Smith, a 30-yard run. We've got to be able to run the ball better. And if we can run the ball and keep Carson back upright, I think we'll have a good day. Tech ran the ball really well against Georgia, and then Texas ran the ball really well against Texas A&M. We've got to be able to stop their run, and we've got to run it. I know it sounds like the Kirby Smart talk. That's what he always says, but it's true. If we can stop the run and run the ball, we'll have a good night. So,
yeah. Well, I think it comes down to Quinn Ewers and our defensive line against him, what they did in the first game against him. To me, Quinn Ewers is not very scary. He's not this unbelievable. He's not a CJ Stroud. I keep going back to that. He's just not that type of a quarterback. And I'm sorry, putting Arch Manning in there, whatever. They know if he comes in the game, he's going to run the ball, probably maybe a quick pass. That's not scary. Okay. To me, I consider Haynes King more scary than Arch Manning, if you want to know the truth. And let's just think about that Texas game for a second. If our offense had been anywhere near what it should be, that game would have been 50-15, not 30. Okay. Yeah. We kind of farted around. You love that.
We dominated them.
We dominated that game, and we just kind of messed around in that game. I'm not saying Georgia's going to go out there and dominate Texas, but I'm not as fearful of it winning 2 against them as you are, Paul. I just think this matchup works very well for Kirby Smart and Georgia.
Paul, I know you kind of have to wait to do your predictions for the weekend. Eddie, what's your prediction? Quick prediction on that game right now. What you got?
Well, I came to a realization after this weekend when I predicted Georgia to beat Tech 41-17. And I've done that numerous times this year where, we got this game, and it blew up in my face. I am now predicting Georgia wins the rest of their games, and my prediction will be 14-13 going forward. That's the way this team is, 14-13. That's my prediction.
You said 14-13.
I don't think it's going to be 14-13. I think we score a little bit more than that. I think it's going to be I think Georgia goes over 30 again. I think.
But you get my point, right?
This
team is just, you can't. They're Jekyll and Hyde. You cannot predict what's happening.
I agree.
The betting line has been released.
It's 1.5 or 1, Texas, right?
Yeah. I spoke too soon. I shouldn't have cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Okay. FanDuel. I think it opened at even. And it very, very quickly went away from even. FanDuel now has it Texas minus 2.5.
Oh, wow.
2.5 point favorite Texas. Ooh, yeah. I like that. That's great. I hope they end up being an 8-point favorite.
Yeah.
2.5.
I think that'll drop, Paul. Don't you think? As the week goes
on, I think it opened at even. I'm pretty sure it opened at even.
Went up immediately.
It'll probably come back
down.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a 1 point favorite or something. That's interesting.
Right.
Good. What do you guys think the over-under is on this game?
The over under 49.
49.5. Did you look?
No, I didn't look. No, I just guessed. I didn't. I swear. I'll share my screen, dog. You can look. So.
No, please don't. We don't want to know what's on that right now. 2.5 point favorite for Texas right now. Interesting. Very interesting. You guys want to talk about the Falcons? I don't really want to talk about the Falcons.
Eddie, give us a quick synopsis of what you saw.
The quickest synopsis you've ever had in your life.
They lost to the Chargers 17-13. It was putrid. This team is horrible top to bottom. I mean, this is Kirk Cousins threw 4 picks for $180 million.
He did.
That's what he did today.
And Ladd McConkey
has not thrown a touchdown in like 9 quarters. Okay. And this is the synopsis of this team. We drafted Kyle Pitts, number 4, 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all remember that bloop that he threw in the end zone for a pick? Y'all remember that horrible throw? Right before that, there was a slant pass to Kyle Pitts. And you know what he did? He got hit. And he just kind of stopped and gave up on the route. I can do that. Paul can do that. This is the number 4 pick. That guy does not want to be playing football. He should be out of the damn league, and we drafted him at 4.
Yeah.
This organization will never change until blank goes away and somebody else owns this franchise. They are awful. They are a putrid franchise. I agree.
Them. Yeah. And Lam McConkey just torching us. It's typical.
Oh, yeah. And he's hurt. He got hurt. If he hadn't got hurt, it would have been 250 yards. He was torching us.
What's crazy, Eddie, is right when I asked you to give us a quick, brief synopsis of this, the amount of comments that said, please no, don't do this, is it was pretty high.
They all want to hear it, though. They all want to hear it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I don't know about this team, man. I don't know, Andy. I've come to realize that my Sundays don't revolve around them, and I probably watched in total. I took the wife to the mall today.
Yeah, so JCPenney's finest, right? Didn't even know that
they were still open.
Hey,
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I took the wife to the mall today. Went and got her some Christmas shopping done, and went and had a nice sushi date. I did watch it at the sushi restaurant, but yeah.
All right, let me ask you guys a question. Is it time to bench Kirk Cousins and start Michael Penix? No.
Something has got to change this team. But now I say that next week, Kirk Cousins will go out and look like an all-star. They're just so up and down.
I don't know about that, Andy, because we've been waiting for that. I've been starting in my fantasy.
We've seen it a couple times.
This is the week.
We have seen it a couple times. Garrett says no, but I don't know.
Garrett also says malls still exist. Yes, and people are in them, Garrett. You should get out and socialize some. Speaking of socializing, Garrett, get this for your next tailgate.
Yes.
This is some good stuff right here. This is the Satisfied Food Company, SFCO, and they make your grandma's pimento cheese. Just kidding. This ain't
your grandma's
pimento cheese. You got to be really damn good at making one thing if that's all you sell.
Yeah.
Pimento cheese is it's one of those foods where you have to have somebody that makes it right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you can order this stuff online. Go to their website, hit order now, satisfiedfood.com. Andy, tell us a little bit about these folks.
Yeah, so the Satisfied Food guys, Daryl Goodman is one of the co-owners. He works with me at UGA. He is our director of food and beverage, and they are obviously chefs, and they just started doing this several years ago, and it's really good. My parents love pimento cheese, so I got some from Daryl, and now that's all they eat. They do not eat the regular kind of cheap store brand stuff. This is the kind they get, and you can get it at your local Golden Pantries in Athens. There's all the locations. Like, they're trying to get into Kroger now, so he's working on that. It's anywhere around Athens, the local areas, you can find it there. Order it. If you love pimento cheese, go see our friends at Satisfied Food. It's going to be the best you can get.
And they're all, from this map right here, they're all around Metro Atlanta.
Yeah, they're in 3 states. So yeah, they're working to expand even more. So it's they're wanting to get down into Florida. So they're working all around. So yeah,
shout out to the Satisfied Food Company. Like I said, you got to be pretty damn good to have one thing. And they have a killer website too, by the way. This is an amazing website.
Yeah, I love that. Big Georgia Bulldog fans, graduated from UGA. Daryl lives and dies by the Georgia Bulldogs. So yeah, check those guys out, support them, tell them we sent you.
Spread the good cheese. Get satisfied. Speaking of the Satisfied Food Company GHSA High School scoreboard, Andy, take us around town. We're almost there.
We are basically at the end of the season. So
Final Four, right?
Yeah, we're in the Final Four. So in AA, Rockmart will play Berkeley County, and Appleton County will play Carver Columbus this Friday to see who goes to the championship.
Carver Columbus is always a tough team.
That's a college, man. That is a college.
And to be 2A, that's man. Maybe look at their enrollment down there.
They need to bump up, I think.
See if we can't bump those guys up a little bit.
Yeah, But in 3A, we got Jefferson versus LaGrange and Calhoun versus Stevenson. So that Jefferson. Yeah, they're always good. Eddie, how about that 4A, the Marist? They beat Cambridge this weekend 40-14 to advance to the Final Four, and they're going to play Creekside in the semis. Are you going to that game?
I am. I'm going to go out there Friday and see them. So,
are they at home for that one?
They are. They're at home.
You getting a sideline pass again from our boy Paul?
100%. Yeah, Paul's got me hooked up. Yeah.
You're like Paul Maharry going to be there? So.
No, you're like their lucky mascot now, Eddie.
Yeah, I know. In fact, the DC texted me last week and said, "Why aren't you here? We need you here." So
I'll be there. Man, if that dude knew how big of an ego shot that was to you. God almighty.
It felt good. It felt good.
Yeah.
Give me telling everybody.
Yeah. He just told the whole world.
And North Oconee, they beat Cartersville 28-26 to advance. So they're going to play, if they win this week, they will play Marist, or the winner of the Marist Creekside game. So it could be a Brent Rollins versus Eddie from Acworth game next Friday.
And we're gonna go. We're gonna go together.
Well, Brent's son plays on that North Oconee squad.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to see. And they're back in the Mercedes Benz, right? Aren't they back in Mercedes Benz?
Wrong guy. I hope so. I think so.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are.
And so we got 5A, Coffee is playing Hughes, and Milton is playing Lee County. And in 6A, Grayson is playing Douglas County, and Carrollton is going to play Beaufort.
That's going to
be a football game.
Juju versus Beaufort. That's going to be something.
That's going to be stupid, dude. That may be the best game of the week versus college and everything. So
also, I'm telling you right now, Milton, I did not know this. Milton is ranked second nationally.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they're loaded. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Second nationally. First, obviously, in the state of Georgia. Second nationally for Milton. I mean, really good teams still left here. So we'll see how this all kind of plays out. But hopefully your boys can do it, Eddie. I'm sure that they'd like to play North Oconee or Blessed Trinity.
Yeah.
It'd be a good little game there. Final thoughts on the week, guys. We got just a couple minutes before we wrap this thing up. Georgia 44, Georgia Tech 42. Hey, Georgia basketball won a big one.
They did.
They're looking good. Big game Tuesday against Notre Dame. If you don't have anything to do like Andy Stowe, go see that game.
I'll just walk right over.
Yeah. Andy, go check it out, man. You might find love there in a hopeless place.
Maybe I will. We'll see. Maybe I'll find.
You're over there putting that mustard on a dog, and this girl walks up.
Hey, can I have a hot dog as well?
I like mustard on my dog.
Take my hot dog.
Yeah. There you go. No, you should go check that out for us in person. See what it's like.
Yeah. And report back on the show next week.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So. But no, I'd say, hey, at least the dogs won the football game. It was crazy, and let me give a little shout out to a couple of buddies, LBP and HJP. They know who they are. So roll dogs.
I feel like that was kind of unnecessary.
I'm just saying, just give a little shout out to them. So they're big dogs. They're dog fans. Maybe got a little Alabama blood in them. So I was just giving her a little roll dogs. So.
Garrett Key says ketchup always over mustard, as Dantzler says. Hell with Tech.
That is exactly the way I do it. Garrett.
I use both.
He's saying. I thought he meant you put the mustard in first and the ketchup on top of it. That's the way I do it.
Garrett's not that smart. That's not what he's saying. He's thinking.
I think he is. No. I think he is.
He's dumb as a box of rocks. We know.
Are you putting real quick? You get that concession hot dog.
Get that glizzy dog. Yeah.
Well, come on. There's no reason for that. Ketchup, yes. Mustard,
yes.
Yeah. The packets of relish.
There you go.
No,
that's the topper.
Yeah. Okay, there. I've seen it. Not me. I haven't done it. Mayo.
I don't like the mayo on the hot dog.
My parents
ketchup,
I don't.
relish. That's good for me.
See, I think really
you like the mayo.
I'm a mustard, and then maybe throw a little relish on there if I'm feeling spicy.
No ketchup?
Not most of the time. No,
really.
The ketchup to me, it really overtakes the dog. If we're being honest.
Okay. Well,
and you just put the mustard on there, and then
that's how I feel about the mayo. I think it overtakes.
Oh yeah, I think throwing mayo on it is kind of crazy. Snooky Dre says, "Who the f puts mayo on a hot dog?" All right, it's been right. It's been real, fellas. It's getting weird here. It is getting weird.
A lot of people actually do. So.
Yeah. There are. That's why they have those things.
Yeah. I like mayo on a burger, though. I do.
Jermaine
like that.
says it gets a little greasy with too much mayo. It can.
That's a good.
And here's the best part. Scott Anderson says a little chili.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's just the bomb.
But I'm not doing that at a game. I'm not eating concession stand chili on a dog.
Crapping in the stands there, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Look at Chris. She said Duke's mayo. She said Duke's mayo is yummy on hot dogs.
That's what my parents do. They put Duke's mayonnaise on it. Yep. That's it.
Phyllis says this Peach State after hours. Hey, it could be. Ooh. We could entertain you with some of our thoughts here, Phyllis, but we try to keep it PG. So We appreciate you for joining us. We'll be back next Sunday.
Talking about an SEC championship win.
SEC championship.
That's what
looking at seeing where we're going to go. If we do win, we will be playing in the Sugar Bowl. So,
not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes. That's slotted. Yes.
Not so fast, my friend.
SEC championship.
Where would it be, Paul? Wait a minute. Now, hold on. What are you?
All right, guys. We'll see you next Sunday, 7:30, the Peach State Power Hour. Andy, Stowe, Eddie from Acworth. I'm Paul Maharry. We'll talk to you then. See